Euromaxx highlights. And here's your host, Louise Houghton.
A warm welcome to the show. We're here by the Brandenburg Gate to bring you our weekly pick of lifestyle highlights from around Europe. Here's what's coming up today. Heads down. Georg Baselitz at the International Art Biennale in Venice. Water dances. A new fountain was created for the gardens of Versailles. And online cuisine. A growing number of foodies turn to blogs for cooking ideas. All the world's futures is the motto of this year's Art Biennale in Venice. The 6-month event focuses on the hopeful stars of the next generation, a few of whom, I'm told, are hidden gems of the future. But amongst all these new contemporary artists are some who are already well established and who've exhibited at the Biennale several times before. We had the honour of meeting one of Germany's most famous painters, Georg Baselitz, who gave us a personal tour of his work.
It's time for the Biennale again in Venice, when contemporary art is shown against a historic backdrop. The opening days are a special time for international artists to meet and greet. German painter Georg Baselitz is among those in town. His works are on display, but he says he's come because the venue with its hustle and bustle surrounding the art are well worth it.
I'm sort of a recluse. Once or twice a year, I venture out into the art world, and then I see that everyone's still there, just older. Some are doing better, others worse. It's just the same old, same old. But it's actually a very illustrious group you encounter, and that's fun. Especially in Venice, it's great fun.
His works are hanging in the gallery in the Arsenale, which was a former shipyard. 8 larger-than-life self-portraits can be seen in an 8-sided space.
I think it's wonderful. This design with the open octagon is very good for these spaces. You couldn't do better, except maybe put them 50 centimeters higher. But that won't work because of the lighting tracks. But I'm still really pleased.
The self-portraits are Baselitz's latest works. He finished the last one just before the Biennale.
It's based on a photograph that my wife took of me, and I have the photo in my hand. The left-hand side doesn't look so great because I'm not so young anymore. I tried to remedy this by putting pretty colors on a dark background and painting as flat as I could, so that there's not the three-dimensionality in the body and none of the surrounding space either.
More than half of the nearly 140 artists participating are making their Biennale debut this year. Nigerian curator Okwe Enwezor made a special effort to give a platform to artists who are frequently underrepresented in the Western-dominated art world.
Biennale ist eigentlich was für die neu kommenden Künstler.
The Biennale is actually for up-and-coming young artists, the newly discovered ones.
Und ich habe als erstes auf die Liste geschaut.
I've had a look at the list to find out if I'm the oldest of the 140 artists.
Ob ich der Älteste bin.
And I am,
Ich bin zumindest
at least the oldest painter.
der bildende Künstler. Das eine ist ein Filmemacher.
There's a filmmaker, Werner Herzog, he's a bit older, and that's it.
Und
That made a big
das,
impression
muss ich
on me.
sagen, macht großen Eindruck auf mich.
Most of the 89 national pavilions are located in a park, the Giardini. Each country chooses, independent of the curator, which artists will represent it. In 1980, Georg Baselitz designed the German pavilion together with Anselm Kiefer, another German artist. He showed his first wood sculpture back then. It caused an uproar because some took it to be a depiction of Hitler.
Das war also so vehement.
Public resistance, and the press opposition even more, were so vehement that I really thought it was the end for me.
Und diese Aggressivität.
And the aggression shown towards my work was unbearable.
Die war damals
But I managed.
unerträglich, aber ich habe es verkraftet. Aber
And this
diese
vehement
Vehemenz,
opposition,
das
you don't
Widerspruch,
see that today anymore.
nicht mehr.
Even after the artists like Georg Baselitz head home, their works can still be seen in Venice up until the end of November. Organizers say they expect more than 500,000 people to visit the Biennale.
But another place that always gets millions of visitors is the Palace of Versailles, just outside of Paris. We were there for the official opening of a contemporary water fountain sculpture that's just been erected in the Sun King's Palace garden. The work of art took 4 years to create, and its shape and style was inspired by Louis XIV's love for his garden and for dance.
Now there's yet another reason for visitors to flock to the Palace of Versailles, already one of France's biggest tourist attractions. The new Water Theatre Grove is located some 400 meters north of the palace. It adds a dash of modern art to the traditional gardens.
Of course it's daring, but creativity is always daring. At Versailles, people see what was created before and what's being created today, without betraying its history.
The new fountain and surroundings are the work of landscape architect Louis Benech and glass artist Jean-Michel Othoniel. In 2011, they were the winners of a competition, beating out 26 other submissions.
I wanted to work with someone whose creations reminded me of childhood and whose art appeals to everyone. I found Jean-Michel Othoniel, and I'm very happy with my choice.
It's impressive to get the chance to create a work for the Palace of Versailles that will always remain there. It's not like a short-term exhibition where you can indulge in extravagances.
This contemporary creation is a first for Versailles because it will remain here permanently. Until now, contemporary artists like Jeff Koons and Joanna Vasconcelos have exhibited their works at the palace, but only temporarily.
The palace isn't a museum in which time has stood still. Even during the time of Louis XIV, Versailles was a creative place. It's our duty to welcome artists, as long as their works are in keeping with the palace.
Jean-Michel found inspiration for his new creation in Louis XIV himself. During his research, he discovered the Sun King's sketches of his garden and his love of dance. The 3 water sculptures represent 3 different dances. The opening was also inaugurated with a dance, performed by the renowned LA Dance Project.
I transformed the early Baroque dances into sculptures. When you see them, you'll recognize my personal style, but it also makes you think of the Sun King. Louis XIV was a king who liked to combine various art forms, and he was fond of dancing. 300 years ago, he danced here himself.
The project took 4 years to complete.
I've never worked this long on a project. The 2,000 glass beads were blown in Switzerland, the 4 blue ones in Murano, Italy. 22,000 sheets of gold leaf went into the beads. Then there was the technical system, the pumps and cables. It was incredible work, but worth it.
The grove covers an area of 1.5 hectares. Though much of the foliage isn't visible yet, as the plants still need time to grow.
You can't see it yet, but the treetops will grow together and form a circle. Light will come from the ground and the water, but the rest will be quite dark because they're evergreens. A garden grows slower than a person, but it's similar. A person is mature at 40. In 30 years, this garden will look like something.
For now, there are no plans for similar projects here. Whether you're a lover of historical architecture or prefer contemporary artworks, there's something for everyone at Versailles.
Well, the same could be said for the quaint canal-based Belgium city of Bruges. In fact, for hundreds of years during the Middle Ages, Bruges was an important commercial hub. But its golden era came to an end in the 1500s due to gradual silting of its waterways. Bruges was then forced to reinvent itself and the city became famous for fine lace. Today, Bruges is amongst Belgium's top tourist destinations and one of the most visited spots is the medieval town centre.
Known as the Venice of the North, Bruges is famous for its numerous canals and medieval architecture. And just like its Italian counterpart, you can explore the city by boat. Captain Mikkel Dahle knows his way around all of the countless canals dating back over 1,000 years.
Let's say the first settlers here, there were Norwegian people, probably Vikings, and in their language, a docking station, the structure you see here, it's called Brygge, and that's probably where the name of the city comes from, so Brygge, Brugge.
The Historium is located at the Old Market Square. It's an interactive exhibition that takes visitors back in time. In the Middle Ages, ships could dock here. The 13th and 14th centuries were Bruges' golden era.
Well, the city of Bruges got so rich in the Middle Ages because it was in the center of Western Europe. It was in between North and South Europe, and all the traders from around the world came to Bruges. Also, Bruges was very important because it did import and export, so it basically became the center of Europe for trade and commerce.
In 2000, UNESCO declared the historic old town a World Heritage Site. Towering over the market square is the 83-meter-high bell tower, the iconic landmark of Bruges. And just around the corner is another major tourist attraction, the Groningen Museum, home to a number of paintings by world-famous Flemish artists. Bruges is also known for its lace industry, although very little is made by hand nowadays. Back in the 16th century, however, it was a status symbol. The city has a number of traditional bobbin lace-making workshops.
If you had money to pay, you bought it and you showed it that you had it. Same for gold and jewelry, you know. Yeah, of course. Maybe no. It was the same for lace. Maybe it's coming back one day. You never know.
And there's no escaping chocolate in this city. Dominique Passone is perhaps the most adventurous chocolate maker in Belgium. Among his inventive concoctions, chocolate snuff and a praline with roasted onion. Persona even has a Michelin star for his sweet treats.
My nickname is also chocolatier, because sometimes people think I'm shocking people, but that's not the idea, to really shock people. And in the beginning, when I was making, for example, chocolate with wasabi, it's the Japanese spice, a lot of people thought that I was completely crazy. But then little by little get more respected for what we do.
Bruges has a resident population of 120,000, but nearly 30 times that number come to visit the historic city every year.
Bruges is a fantastic place. The architecture's lovely, the beer's great, there's lots of chocolate shops, I like the lace shops, and the women are fantastic.
It's really historic and really old, which I'm not used to in the US, and it has all these really modern shops too mixed in the downtown area, so that's really cool.
We love living here because it's such a beautiful historic city. Everything's close together and there's a wonderful park in the center of town.
With its historic architecture and numerous tourist attractions, Bruges offers visitors a perfect combination of past and present.
Well, just in case you'd like to see what other people are saying about the reports on today's show, you can always visit our Facebook page. You can join in the discussion there or get caught up in anything else that you've missed. Here's where to find us.
Want to learn more about Europe and European culture? Visit Euromaxx on Facebook. You can tell us what you think, and you'll never miss an interesting topic. Many Euromaxx reports can also be looked at again. There are behind-the-scenes looks at how the reports and the program are produced. We like it when fans visit Euromaxx on Facebook.
Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, it's all happening on the internet. Social media is fast becoming the way to communicate, and blogs also make for popular reading. The number of food blogs online is growing rapidly. Everyone seems to be posting pictures of their food, myself included. Some people have made a living from their blogs, and the top 50 to follow have just been published on the website of the British newspaper called The Times. We met up with one of the German food bloggers who made it onto the list.
A summer salad using homegrown zucchini, this time with a Thai twist. Meta Kurane-Wolf is a food blogger from Weimar in eastern Germany. She likes to combine recipes from around the world. She's been running her blog, What's for Lunch, Honey, for nearly 9 years now.
For me, it's important that the person that's reading my blog or has arrived at my blog feels at home. It's like an extension to my own home, and they should feel comfortable reading the stories that I have to tell, the recipes, looking at the pictures.
The Indian-born photography enthusiast invests a lot of time in creating the visuals for her blog. She's become quite the pro. And now she offers courses in food styling, which attract fellow bloggers and even professional photographers. But at the end of the day, eating the food is still the most important part.
I cook a separate portion, and I will photograph and style it then either on the next day or in the evening after we've eaten. I also learned that never keep your family hungry while you're taking pictures.
Families of food bloggers can be found all around the world. The Zimmels in Austria have learned to hold out for the perfect snap before tucking in. Susanne Zimmel writes under the name Frau Z. She specializes in modern Austrian cuisine. Her blog attracts thousands of readers each day. Her family often features on it too. Blogs, she's discovered, are a very personal medium.
At first, I had wanted to stay anonymous. That had been my intention. But within about 6 months, it was no longer an issue. People are curious. They're interested in the person behind the blog.
Marketing expert Alexandra Pala organizes the Austrian Food Blog Awards. She says the more personal the blog, the more successful it is.
Cooking blogs tell real stories, tales of things that happen every day in a real kitchen.
Back to Meta Kurane-Wolf. She's been living here in Weimar for the last 12 years. She's even scaled back her working hours at the university to focus on her passion. She's learning more about the culinary specialties of her region from chef Sten Fischer. He, on the other hand, enjoys getting new ideas online.
You can get inspiration on the internet. You may have some idea in your head. You look up a fruit to see what you can do with it. Food blogs and recipe sites offer ideas which I can adapt.
Time for another photograph. Meta works on a campaign launched by the Thüringen Tourism Board to promote regional food. Vegetable soup with minced meatballs and blood sausage is one of the many specialties.
I didn't expect this incredible path that my blog has allowed me. It's allowed me to learn so many things on the way, and where I am right now, I hope it's not the end.
So, Meta Kurane-Wolf, what's for lunch, honey?
Music is to our ears what food is to our mouths. Those who are fans of jazz music headed to the German city of Bonn for the annual Jazz Festival this month. The event's been running since 2010. Deutsche Welle are proud to be media partners, as it's now become the largest jazz festival in Germany. This year, the programme is dominated by strong women, and we were lucky enough to talk to two of them who are already well established on the international jazz scene.
Can you play the bow also, please?
Marilyn Mazur, on the drums and in her element. Her mastery of percussion has been dubbed shamanic in reference to her magical style.
It's a way of living. It's like being on stage is creating a beautiful world where you can play with the energies and be together in a different way, and the words are not so important, but the vibrations are important.
Marilyn Mazur and her band Celestial Circle run a sound check at the Bonn Jazz Festival. She turned 60 earlier this year and has been performing on stage for some 4 decades now. Even today, a woman on drums is more the exception than the rule.
When I was about 19 years old, I decided to play drums. And one reason was, of course, there were no other women playing drums at the time, so that was an extra challenge. And I thought, I have to see what will happen if I do this.
Marilyn Mazur is a legend. She's the only woman ever invited by Miles Davis to play in his band. She's also played with Norwegian saxophone player Jan Garbarek.
In Europe, we've developed some other ways of expressing ourselves in music. So even if we play jazz, it has other colors in it, which I feel more at home in. I grew up in Denmark, and the whole Scandinavian sound has these, dreamy, now I use that word again, there's some dreamy qualities in the music.
In just 6 years, the Bonn Jazz Festival has grown from a local gathering to a world-class event. It's now attended by musicians from Germany, Israel, Denmark, Italy and Switzerland. And of course, the source of the genre, the United States. Of the 20 musicians appearing at this year's festival, 7 are women. It used to be a very exclusive male domain, but fortunately it's been slowly and steadily opening up, and the women we've got on the bill this time speak for themselves. They're really fantastic artists. Among this year's big names, Liz Wright from the United States.
Blue as a crying sky, with no.
Wright grew up in Georgia with the gospel tradition. Her father was a preacher.
There is no difference between gospel music and my music, because I grew up with gospel music. It's like there's milk and gospel music. You know, it's like it was such a part of the environment.
Liz Wright had just turned 20 when her first album took the jazz charts in the US and Europe by storm in 2003. Her 4th release, Freedom and Surrender, is due to be out this September. The musicians backing her up at the Bonn Jazz Festival are also among the finest. They've played with the luminary likes of Aretha Franklin and Chaka Khan.
There are quite a few women who are singing jazz. There aren't as many of us playing jazz. I would like to see there be quite a bit less difference between women singers and women instrumentalists, and it really be all the same.
For me, when I make female groups, it's also for pure pleasure, because it feels very nice to be with someone of the same kind.
Together with singer Josephine Kronholm, Marilyn Mazur has formed an all-women band in the past. They'll be getting together again for Marilyn's tour later this year. Feminist principles no longer play the part they did in her early years. These days, she's out to make music and have fun.
Well, that jazz has brought us to the end of the show for today. So all that's left for me to do is say, on behalf of the entire Euromaxx team here in Berlin, thank you for being with us. And until next time, take good care of yourselves. Bye-bye for now.